Welcome to Movie Bitches!
Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day!
Whoa.
Retro Review, Episode 3, Mommie Dearest.
Mommie Dearest.
I am excited. Buckle your seats.
Fasten your butts.
Yep. Hold on to your butts.
Is that what he said?
Hold on to your
why
butts.
would he say fasten your butts?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Yep.
I guess it was a combination of it's going to be a bumpy night, fasten your seatbelts,
Yep.
and Samuel L. Jackson's famous line from Jurassic Park. So anyway, Mommie Dearest.
First things first, shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink. Try wink.com/moviebitches. You get $20 off your first month of wine. Yeah, wine, woo. Also, please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/moviebitches, and support us so we can do more of these reviews and drag race and reviews. Gay things and whatever. We're going to try and tell us what you want us to do and we'll do it. Well,
within reason.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Mommie Dearest, the cult classic camp spectacular.
Oh boy.
So this is really fun because this movie is just so much.
It is at 11.
Yep.
The whole time. I forgot how crazy it starts. Like, it's just nuts.
It just gets
From
right.
the get.
We're ready for you, Miss Crawford.
Let's go.
Right into it.
And I kind of started to form this theory about what constitutes camp
Okay.
versus melodrama. Because there's a subtle difference.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it is having high contrast colors. Like,
What?
when you think about it, when you think about your favorite campy movies, they're very bright and shiny and have just high, it's like all the Brian De Palma movies look like camp classics. And it's kind of from the 70s. There's a lot of campy movies from the 70s where
Sure.
it's just that grain of just like her pink shower, like everything's just popping out at you and her eyebrows, like everything's like in your face.
Yeah.
All the costumes,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was
Interesting.
I think the ratio of the color story that's being told in camp movies really,
Is vibrant.
to follow through.
I thought you were going to say intent.
Oh,
Because,
sure.
like, for me,
Sure.
what really makes this so campy and great is that, I mean, she thought she was going to win an Oscar.
I'm not acting.
She certainly thought she was going to be nominated. Not for a Razzie.
Right? But I love that it's like meta.
There are 3 reasons why I deserve this award.
She was Joan Crawfording this role.
She became Joan Crawford?
Yeah.
For a series of months. And when I think of Joan Crawford, I often think of, like, I see Faye Dunaway. You're like, oh wait, no. Oh wait, that wasn't her.
Nope.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, it really
It blends.
is terrifying.
Yes. So speaking of terrifying, apparently...
This movie's a horror movie?
Well, sure. But apparently Faye showed up on one of the producers' driveways and dressed as Joan and almost gave him a heart attack. Because he thought it was Joan back from the dead.
Well, he had met Joan Crawford, and he said something like, there's only 2 women I've ever been terrified of in my life, my mother and Joan Crawford. And, accurate. But you know who was going to play Joan?
No.
Anne Bancroft.
Oh yeah, I read about that. And then she read the script and said no.
Nah. I'm good. Pass.
Smart choice.
Was it?
Well, I don't know.
It would have been different.
It would have been different. The script is really quite terrible, is the thing.
It's really god-awful. It's weird because the movie looks great.
Yep.
But everything else about the filmmaking is insane.
Yes.
Like the editing.
Oh my God.
The transitions that are non-existent.
Nope. Well, and it's really weird because you start to notice, like...
It really has you under its spell, and then you start to go, wait a minute. And the more times you've seen it, I don't know, I was watching it like, oh, that Pepsi Cola boardroom scene is really just 30 seconds.
It's hardly necessary to make threats you surely don't mean.
Don't fuck with me, fellas!
This ain't my first time at the rodeo.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's very short.
Oh, yeah.
And it's never talked about again.
Well, but
or brought up.
But that's kind of this whole movie. It's really funny. The more times you see it, you start to really realize that this movie is not really a film,
no,
as much as just like a collection.
Vignettes.
Yeah, and it would go from like normal scene where like everything's kind of nice and whatever, and this is just like a scene from a movie with other people, to then some overreaction scene where she just goes insane.
Well, yeah, the way things were put together, nothing seemed to cause or affect anything. It was just, and now we have this scene.
And now she goes crazy.
That we filmed.
Yeah.
Oh, and then sure, here's this one. She's looking at her leg in the mirror.
Oh my god, I forgot.
And then that lawyer, or who, not a lawyer, it's
Uncle Ted.
Some new boyfriend and her, and then they're making out on the chaise, and Christina comes in and is like, got your refill, mommy. And then she's like,
boarding school,
fuck you. Like, that was like a cause and effect.
Yes.
It was extreme.
It was
like, oh dear. She's getting in the way of business.
Yep.
Faye's legwork in this movie is spectacular.
It really is. It really is.
Something else.
I mean,
her legs are two different characters in the movie. It was crazy to me, the lack of transitions.
Yes.
Or through line. Because I was watching it like, wait, the movie is supposed to start in 1938 or something? The beginning of the movie.
Is that when she was adopted?
It's like, no, she adopted a little later, but she doesn't adopt her in the first scene, but...
Well, right. But can we talk about those scenes? Leading up to her adopting her.
I loved those scenes.
But it was, again, so weird. It was just like, and here's like a beach scene where they discuss it. And
great was her scarf living. This like salmon floor-length scarf. Just like, yes, bitch. I loved it.
And now she's like, right? I need a baby. And now she's in an office.
Why don't you try to understand a woman?
I'm afraid I have some difficult news for you, Miss Crawford.
Unfit! And then now she has a baby. It's just like, okay.
Well, and then it's the same thing. The biggest one I thought was when she's married to Albert Steele, the Pepsi Cola guy.
Yeah.
He's in one scene.
Two.
Maybe. Oh, he's in the...
Well, he's in their wedding scene.
And then he's in the, like, we're building this apartment scene.
Yes.
Tear down that bitch of a bearing wall and put a window where it ought to be.
And then he's just dead.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what happened? Wait, we didn't even see them meet?
Nope.
They're married?
Yep.
And then what's going on? It was wild.
Okay, pal.
Miss Crawford, the condolences of every person at Pepsi Cola are with you.
And they were like, we have to fit 30 years, or whatever of her life into this movie, and they just did it in the worst possible way.
The worst possible way. Maybe they needed more montages? I don't know. I don't know if that would have made it worse.
More connective tissue.
Just they needed to really...
Well, because the producer and the director they went through screenplay after screenplay after screenplay. The producer talks about how he had an abusive mom, and so it really spoke to him.
Oh, no.
And so how nobody was getting the feeling that he wanted from the script, right? No one could get it right, and so he said, well, I'll write it myself.
Oh, no. That...
Did it all make sense now?
Yes.
Did we crack it?
Yeah.
We cracked it.
Like, I think a lot of the mess of this movie is because it's based on the book that Christina wrote.
Sure.
And you see these certain things, and the character of Christina is just, I mean, the lines that she has.
Well, this is the thing. Christina, I guess we'll just get into it. There's a whole history of, is it real, is it not real, is Christina lying, what's going on?
Right.
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely.
That's where I've landed. Christina has even said the movie is ludicrous, I think is the word that she used. It's like too far.
Yeah.
And yet Christopher has said, I lived that. His response to the movie was, I lived that. And then Cindy and Kathy, the twins, are like, no, that didn't happen.
Well, and what's so weird about that to me is that this movie doesn't even acknowledge
They don't
twins.
exist.
Like, she full on dies. Twins are nowhere.
They don't exist in this world.
Yeah.
Well, it's also weird because I don't know why this isn't in the movie. Joan tried to adopt a baby before Christina, and it like went wrong and the mom went hysterical and took the baby back and like a whole thing, and I was like, where is that scene? I want it. And so she could be like drunk and crazy over that.
But it's
that
about
would have been
Christina.
great. It is about Christina. But Christina wanted the movie to be more about her, and they were like, no, we have to make the movie about Joan.
Well, of course, but that's what I'm saying. You can still see that.
Yes.
Because it's written from this perspective of like,
Yeah.
woe is me.
Why not?
Christina will be like, well, they changed stuff from the book. Like, they kick her out of Metro to the Rosebush scene, to the Bring Me the Axe
Yes.
scene, right? And she's like, that's not what happened. She would just have those fits. Sometimes there wasn't a reason. And I'm like, well, that's not really, like, a huge change, though.
No.
She still, like, did that, though?
Wait.
Okay.
I like that that's even, she's like, no. She was crazier.
That's what's weird to me, the conflicting stories of, like, it happened, but slightly differently. And you're like,
Well, okay, now we're just splitting hairs.
Tina! Bring me the axe!
Speaking of the Bring Me the Axe.
Christina, bring me the axe.
Well, you know what I noticed?
What?
The line is actually, Tina, bring me the axe.
Oh.
It's sort of like that Play It Again Sam thing, where he never actually says Play It Again Sam in Casablanca.
Play it.
It's like misremembered as...
Weird. Well, I also always remembered it as, I always knew you'd know where to find the booze and the boys. But really, it's much more...
You know where to find the boys and the booze.
When I was watching this like special features, and the producer that almost had a heart attack, he was kind of like...
There were a couple of times I guess we could have toned her down a little bit, particularly when she attacks the rose bushes. I take a little bit of blame because I should have asked Frank to pull her back a little bit on that scene.
He's like, but that's the only part.
Oh, that's the only one?
That's the only one.
Oh,
I
really?
was like, I'm sorry, what?
No more hangers!
Like, it's just scenes of Joan having a crazy fit interlaced with, like, a scene about something.
If.
Which is just a bummer when you think about it. Because, right, this movie has the potential to have been really great.
Right.
If you edited the crazy scenes into, like, a few really big moments.
Yeah.
And told more of, like, a real story about Joan and Christina.
Yeah.
But it was really, like, it feels just like a vendetta of Christina against her mother. Being like, I'm trying to get back at you. I don't know. It's too personal.
This is actually not one of my absolute favorite campy movies because I find it to be fairly upsetting.
It is fairly upsetting.
At times, like, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
And I realized it's upsetting because it could be based on real events, right? If this was just a gothic fairy tale of crazy Hollywood diva psycho with like imaginary kids,
right,
you could just freely enjoy this as, isn't this crazy? More.
Right.
But because there's that like,
ooh, this probably really did happen like
in
this.
the back of your mind the whole time, it makes me feel icky.
I get that.
So I first saw this movie with zero context as a child.
Good.
Caught it on TV, didn't know what it was, loved that it was bright and shiny. Like, I remember being like, what's this? Look at these costumes. She seems crazy and fabulous, but I had no context to feel guilty about it.
Right.
And so I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And then watching it later, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
So you got Brian Murphy'd about it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so first of all, speaking of the costumes, they are, like, spot on.
Okay. Well, Joan's costume designer came out of retirement.
Shut up. I love it.
You didn't know?
No.
And hated Faye Dunaway. She said, there was some quote, something about, like, if you're gonna go into Faye's dressing room, you better throw a slab of raw meat, and, like, walked off set. Apparently everyone on set fucking hated Faye Dunaway.
Well, okay.
Or Joan Crawford.
That's the thing. She really just... So this is what was really funny.
Yeah.
So, Barbara, please.
Barbara, please.
Barbara, please. Oh, it's so good.
So good.
That might be my favorite.
So, right, I think so.
Barbara, please.
Also, Christina, Christopher, damn it.
Christina, Christopher, damn it.
I even loved, so it starts and she's cleaning the floor. I'm not mad at you. I'm
mad
mad
at the dirt.
Right? And you're like, oh, what's going on? And then the lawyer guy comes in and he goes,
What about the socks?
I can handle the socks.
and then they just go into the shower and have sex.
Yeah.
And oh my God, when her hair just...
Oh my God, right? Melts.
Oh my God. In that rose pink shower. Oh.
But like the pauses really are insane. Particularly in the beginning, she's just staring at the camera for a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh right, but so, Bubba, please. So apparently, the actress who played Barbara
is Marlon Brando's sister.
Oh, who knew? She, I guess, just came back from the hospital, and she refused. She's supposed to help pull Faye or Joan off of Christina, and refused because she didn't want to get hurt. Yeah. Because Faye was just crazy.
When she comes up, that's Carol Ann really falling over.
Yeah. And apparently she refused to do it any other way. She would not, like, rein it in.
When you clean the floor, you move the tree.
I'm not angry at you, I'm mad at the dirt.
Well, it's just also, not a particularly subtle look at mental illness.
The biggest female star he's got. Ever had. And he buried me alive.
My favorite moment in the movie is after the wire hanger scene, and Christina essentially looks into the camera and just goes,
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ! And the self-awareness of a 9-year-old saying that is my favorite moment in the movie.
It's so,
because it makes you go, okay, this movie knows what it's doing. Yep. Like a little bit.
Yep.
Was it just me, or were you disappointed when adult Christina showed up?
Oh, absolutely.
I love young Christina.
She's a lot. We'll talk about it.
I love her.
Oh, yes. It was thrilling. I'm so grateful to you all. My wonderful fans.
Young Christina is both insufferable and wonderful. Like, I don't know.
I find adult Christina more sanctimonious or whatever.
Yeah. Old Christina is like, I want the spotlight.
But
and young Christina, it does for me.
No, young Christina is just like in front of the mirror, like, thanks to all my fans.
I love, in my version of the drinking game, you definitely have to drink every time that young Christina is like feeling her oats.
Oh, yes.
Like with the Oscar, and she's closing the door, like, oh, the clapping, it's for me.
Oh, it's all for me.
The wire hangers, although great and crazy, it's not my favorite because it's so upsetting.
It's really
You really
upsetting.
have the most child abuse.
Yes.
You have her literally just being crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're yelling at your daughter because she doesn't respect the clothes, and yet you're the one tearing them off the hangers and throwing them onto the floor.
There's a lot of hypocrisy within Joan's OCD.
Yeah.
When just within the character, when she's freaking out and chopping the rose bushes in the gown, which I feel like she wouldn't do in a gown, but it is more fabulous.
Yeah.
And she's got the cuts on her face. I was like, no.
No, you don't gash that face. It's like you don't sleep with 8 bands around your face and then get cut the fuck up.
Exactly, yes.
Tearing up a tree.
Although, oh my God, how she was totally giving me some Madeline Ashton, right? With all of her sleep.
Yes.
Like,
in a movie that wasn't just jam-packed with crazy.
Yes.
That scene would stand out, and like that's like the pièce de résistance.
The Oscar clip.
Exactly. Yes. But because this movie is just basically one crazy scene after another, whereas if it was just like, and this is where she really goes insane,
right,
then it's more powerful.
If it had built more.
Exactly.
To that. Like, she's crazy from the get. There's no rhyme or reason.
Right.
Or consistency of her mental illness. And the movie tries to kind of like, remember at the end, Christina like forgives her, I guess, and is like, you're free, you're not in pain anymore, you can like, you know, whatever, your tortured soul is forgiven.
Yeah.
And the movie, had the movie more successfully had Christina really reconcile that and had Christina then become the lead, I feel like I wouldn't have as much problematic.
That's fair.
When it happened,
That's
right?
fair.
Because if it is a story of forgiveness and redemption over strife and like, you know, an insane amount of
and coming to understand why her mom did what she did.
Yeah, and not forgiving it wholly, but like moving forward. For me, there are moments that I love, and then I get really sad watching it. And so like that's why I think camp is so subjective.
Sure.
Right? Like one person's camp is another person's classic, or vice versa, or whatever. But there are moments, and one of my favorite ones was when they're at the birthday party. Are you having the best time, Christina? Oh, yes, Mommie Dearest. And she gets the grass stain, and then the reporter is like, no, actually, it might read. And her, I'm gonna fuck you up, death stare is so good.
Oh, darling, that will never show.
It might read.
Oh my god, another one of my favorite moments with Christina.
This is just us saying what our favorite moments are.
That's okay. Another one of my favorite moments with Christina is after the wire hangers. She clean it up, find a way, or whatever. You figure it out. And then Christopher comes out.
I'll help you.
No, Christopher. Go strap yourself back in.
Strap yourself back in.
I'll help you clean it up. No, go back. Strap yourself in.
But when she comes in the kabuki makeup and is, you know, starting to go up before the wire hangers, Christopher just goes, see ya.
Yep. He's like, oh god, I'm hiding, checking out of this.
I'm strapped in.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Why is he strapped in? It's for his sleepwalking.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes.
Which the movie never addresses.
No, it really doesn't. And yet I forget where I found out about that.
I looked it up because I was like, what the fuck is this harness? So the character of Carol Ann is actually an amalgamation of
all of the
several maids
and
nannies and stuff. Which I understand narratively why you'd want to have a consistent character throughout, but it also makes her so much more complicit and right? Because nobody is saying anything. Nobody is saying, well, I'm leaving because this is too much or whatever.
Right.
We never really see her perspective on it, really.
No.
And there's a deleted scene apparently where she first hires Carol Ann, and apparently she was like a super fan. She's like in her limo, and there's all these, Joan, or whatever. And Joan leans out the window and goes, Carol Ann, are you here again? And she's like, here, get in the car. And then hires her. So it's like her dream come true to be working for Joan Crawford. And so that like gives her more of a backstory and a character. Like, oh, okay, like that's why she's just obsessed with it. Okay.
It is problematic because I remember thinking just like, why would you like?
I mean, I guess the lawyer leaves, but he leaves because he doesn't like.
Because they stopped fucking.
Yeah, he doesn't leave because she's abusing the kids.
No, he leaves because she's abusing him.
Yes. I'm waiting for you.
I'm waiting for you.
Good night, Joan.
I loved that scene actually because it was like, that's the type of person who's like used to being able to like sex their way out of anything.
Oh, yeah.
We're just like, I don't know, I'll just be like sexual and charming and you'll do what I want. And they actually did that pretty well in Feud, where like, she's like
even more like
on the casting couch.
Later years.
Yeah, and it's like, ooh, sad, like no, that doesn't work anymore.
Right.
This is awkward when someone's just like, no, you're too crazy, I don't want to go fuck you right now.
Right.
I'm leaving.
The crazy to hot factor.
Yes, exactly.
Is imbalanced.
Yep. You pushed it too far.
I really waver. This movie conflicts me.
Yeah.
Because then we get to the pool scene, and
who wants to go swimming?
And her terry cloth robe has shoulder pads, and I was like, oh, but this movie gets it. But do they get it?
It's so good.
I mean, they were the biggest shoulder pads of them all.
I really want that robe.
Just to wear around the house?
Yeah. Or by the pool.
Whatever, no big deal. I'll give you a bigger head start next time.
Oh my god. That scene. I'm bigger than you.
I'm bigger, and I'm faster. I will always beat you.
I do, love her closet / separate shoe closet.
The shoe museum. It was crazy and fabulous. Can we talk about the point for me where I was like, Oh, you just ruined this girl's life. It's not Joan.
When that bitch walks in on them at the barn?
I'm gonna tell!
Swell. This is really swell.
Vera.
I'm going to tell. How I am going to tell.
Had she just been able to, like, have, like, a boyfriend and, like,
Right.
stay at this school and whatever, I think things would have been a lot more pleasant for her.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell. How I am going to tell.
I think one of the main reasons I don't like adult Christina as much is because she's wearing a Harpo Marx wig. But then also, she's dressing like a little baby. They don't explicitly explain that, like, Joan is still making her dress like a little girl.
Oh, is that what it's supposed to be?
Exactly. And I think that would have made the adult character even more interesting.
Sure.
Because I'm sitting there going, what's going on? Why are you wearing, like, a jumper and, like, little, you know, socks with the skirt on them?
Right.
What's happening here? What's going on? Like, you're weirding me out. The movie needed to switch at some point and become Christina's movie, and it never successfully does.
No.
It puts you in a weird place because you're rooting for this strong, independent bitch of a woman.
Don't fuck with me, fellas! This ain't my first time at the rodeo.
And yet, oh holy fuck, she's, like, abusing her children. And so you're torn the whole movie.
Yes.
Right? Because you want to be like, yes, bitch, but then you're like, oh god.
But also, she's just kind of crazy.
It is like a house on fire, right? Like, you can't really not watch it.
Yeah.
And you feel bad.
Yeah.
Watching it.
Yeah.
And yet you're like... At a certain point, Paramount was like, oh no.
Oh.
Like, we shit the bed. And so they changed all the marketing. Because people started to go see it with wire hangers and Ajax, like Rocky Horror Picture style. Like,
good.
Screaming in the aisles. And so they changed all the ad campaigns to really, like, lean into that.
Yeah.
There's kind of two different kinds of camp. There's self-aware camp, which can be fun.
Yes.
And there's completely unintentional camp, which can be transcendently amazing.
Showgirls.
I tend to lean towards the, oh no, we thought we were making, like, a real thing.
Yeah.
A real, like, serious movie. Showgirls. Oh dear God, what if Paul Verhoeven directed Mommie Dearest? It might be the best thing that ever happened.
It really might.
There would be a lot of tits. They would have been having sex in that shower.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I just want someone to, like, give me a fucking thing where it's, like, examining her life through these periods, right? Where it's like, here she is strong and on her own. A sexy vixen who, like, gets what she wants by fucking the men that she needs to fuck.
We never get to see the, like, the young... Let's fuck everybody, Joan.
Yeah.
I want to see that, Joan.
Right? I want to see that where it's like, well, you know what? I know what works for me. Mm-hmm. I know what my biggest strength is, and it's my vagina. And so, I mean, in some ways, good on her, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone always focuses on, like, the later years where it's like, oh, she can't use that anymore.
Yeah.
How sad is that? Isn't that sad? Isn't she
Wouldn't
crazy?
it be sadder if we had experienced the power of her vagina and then gotten to the sad place and realization that
Thank you.
the vagina has...
That's what would, for me, that's what would make a really, truly tragic film.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to?
Why can't you treat me the way I would be treated by any stranger on the street?
'Cause I'm not one of your fans! There are really, truly mesmerizing moments. And then Joan dies, we don't know what of. There's no... She's just...
Dead.
Her aging...
Yeah.
Is
it's because you're supposed to focus on Christina, and I'm like, but I don't really care.
It's inconsistent. But anyway, she dies, and they go to the lawyer, and she leaves them nothing. Yeah. He goes, it looks like she got the last word. And then practically to camera, she says, Did she?
And it lingers there for so long.
Well, so I thought it only makes sense that there would then be, like, a text, you know, that would come up and be like, Christina's, crazy memoir then came
Or
out.
why not just have the fucking book on the stand?
Yeah, right? And then pan out or something, because it was so clearly referencing that.
Or did she, in this movie...
That I wrote the book on, that is a scathing indictment of my mother.
Yeah.
Because the first half, they're in the same house, so they're sharing
Yes.
the movie equally, right? And then once Christina goes off, it's like they're telling half of each of their stories,
Exactly.
right? So you're like, well,
Yeah.
I guess we have this weird acting scene where she's like in Antigone or whatever.
Oh, God,
who
that-
cares? Like,
yeah.
who cares? The boyfriend isn't really a character.
Miss Movie Star, what is this? Not too booked.
Stop it, Tony.
Yes, stop it.
This movie should be called Scattered Moments.
Yes.
Because that really is what it is.
Scattered moments of crazy with Mommie Dearest.
It's totally worth watching.
Yes.
It's insane.
It is.
It is the mother of all performances or whatever.
God.
I mean... In all the special features, everyone was kind of like, I don't know, we wish Faye would just get over it. Like, we all got together and had like a thing, and we had a huge audience, and it was just full of like gay men, cheering, and I had never had a bigger standing ovation in my life and all this stuff, and she's like, I wish Faye would just, move on. Like, it's great. Like, just embrace. You can do it, girl.
And I think that if Faye had just embraced it a little bit more, then it wouldn't have affected it as much as it has, because she was just like...
It's like
it was
Sandra
this
Bullock.
big elephant in the room.
It's like Sandra Bullock accepting her Razzie the same year she accepted her Oscar. Like, yeah, because Sandra Bullock gets it.
We brought everyone in the audience tonight a DVD of All About Steve.
I think I find the act of, like, quoting the pieces I like and chatting about the pieces I like
more fun than
actually watching the movie.
It's fun to have watched it and like know and see where they all come from.
Absolutely.
But it really is much more fun to just like, I really should have known you know where to find the booze and the boys.
Right.
It's like a runaway train that like really has now run away.
Mhm.
And it's more fun just to remember them the way that you think of it as this even campier, crazier thing.
Exactly.
When you watch it back again, you're like, oh, this is a little bit more sad than it is crazy campy.
Yes.
But if you just think of the thing, like if you let them, Baba, please, damn it! I mean, if you drink every time she says, damn it!
Damn it!
I think Faye literally became Joan Crawford. Like, she has talked about how the movie haunts her. Like Joan haunts her, and I'm like,
God.
I feel like something happened.
Cheers to campy, fun, silly nonsense.
Barbara, please!
Barbara, please!
Barbara, please! Please, Barbara!